Hey guys, this is Tony, back with another Lead Chess Classical battle. We're going to start off with one knight f3 against aborezikamoha. I'm sorry if this is your handle and I just totally butchered your name. You can't totally judge me for that. I'm an ignorant American, and I don't know how to pronounce that, nor do I know what country it's from. He speaks English. We have a King's Indian. And the normal move here would be c4, but I really like this 6b3 line. This is a favorite of one of the top German GMs, Georg Meier. I think it's also a favorite of Jakob Norwitz, an international master from the New York area. Black can go e5 here. He elects not to. But black can go e5, and then when I take it, it looks like he's losing a pawn, but he can go knight g4 and exploit the pin along this diagonal to stop me from going e takes d6. And in this position, it's sort of up to me to decide whether or not I want to go c4. And usually if I'm going to go c4, I'm going to put the knight on c3 or go knight b to d2, and I might go e4 instead. I suppose in this specific position I can also go d5. What to do? I think I'm going to go knight d2, just to mix it up. And I think if he's going bishop d7, I somehow feel as though maybe he wanted to meet c4 with a6, rook b8, and b5, so I'm not going to give him that target. Now, I do sort of immediately regret this decision, though. Okay, we'll take, and he's going to go knight g4, and then I'm going to have to decide what I'm doing here. And I think knight c4, I feel like holds onto the pawn. I'm protecting the bishop, and if he takes with the, I guess he can take with the d pawn, but then I can go h3 and deflect one of the protectors away. So if I go knight c4, he's probably got to take with the g knight, just so he doesn't run into h3 later. And then I can take with my f knight, and I suppose in that case he can take with the pawn. My idea is that I want to expose this loosey-goosey b7 pawn by getting him to play knight takes e5, but I guess he's not forced to do so. So I have to decide what I want to do here. Yeah, I sort of regret playing knight d2, actually, because a normal reaction here for white would be to go c4, and when he takes with the knight, just to play either knight c3 or queen d2 and protect the bishop from the knight takes f3 check and bishop takes b2 discovery. But with my knight on d2, going c4 is a little bit less enticing. If you're going c4, you really want your knight to be on c3 so that you can hop into d5 at some point. At this moment, I sort of wish I had that plan available to me. I'm not sure what I should do here instead. I mean, I can play similar, c4, knight takes e5, and then queen c2, protecting the bishop. And if he plays knight takes, I can simply recapture, but in that particular structure, I really wish my knight was on d2. So probably last move I should have played c4. I didn't really think of the consequences. I just wanted to go e4. I confess. My opponent offers me a draw, which I'm not going to accept. I'm just going to go knight c4. And presumably he's taking with the g-pawn. I'll probably take back, or he's taking with the g-knight, rather. I'll probably take back with my f-knight. Wow, he's going for it. E takes d6 does not appear to be possible. I can contemplate knight a3 here, though. Yeah, that move might be kind of good. Guess I sort of have to go back. I mean, knight e3, he'll just take here. E takes d6 doesn't work. I don't see anything after b takes c4. Knight a3 is possible, but I wonder after just something like a6 or rook b8, maybe rook b8 to just get his rook off the pin. That I wonder if I have anything there. I can go c4 in that position, perhaps. But, yeah. I'm not playing this game in the most stellar fashion. Not to say that b5 is super strong or anything. It's very loosening, and he has to worry about long diagonal problems, but sort of feel as though I could have played this a little bit better. So now it's tempting to go a4, maybe c4 even. Maybe c4 is better. Yeah, I'll try it. And he's threatening knight takes f3, so and bishop takes b2 to follow, so sort of have to protect the bishop. I can capture here too. I'm looking at queen c2, bishop f5, if that's a big deal. Can also just go queen c1. Problem with queen c1 is then I can't get this rook into the game particularly easily. So I'm a little bit reluctant to do that. Knight takes, knight takes. Queen c2. Yeah, I'll try this. Taking with a d-pawn doesn't look amazing. Yeah. And I think I'm just going to follow up with queen c2 here. Queen c2, bishop b takes c4, knight takes c4, knight takes c4, bishop takes g7. Can go like knight a3 there, or knight e3. I wonder. So there's queen c2, b takes, knight takes, bishop g7, knight e3, queen c3, knight takes f1, bishop h6, or even bishop f8. Bishop f8 is threatening mate. He has to take back, probably with the queen. I can take there. I think I have two pieces for a rook there. But just queen c2, bishop f5 might be kind of irritating. I don't think so. I'll just go e4. I don't care. What I'd like to be able to do is just to take on b5 and extinguish black's activity and just claim that I have the better pawn structure. So if I'm allowed to take on b5 without any repercussions, or to say, and I mean to say that all other things are equal, I'll be a little bit better because black will have 3 pawn islands, I'll have just 2, and specifically both c7 and a7 will be a little bit weak. c7 is along an open file, and if he tries to get rid of the pawn with c5, he'll leave d6 backward and weak. He's clearly going for bishop h3, which I'm not super excited about allowing. I like this bishop. I don't really want to trade it. I don't love that my king is super weak. Not super weak, but it's not particularly well guarded if this bishop leaves play, so thinking about moving this rook just so I can meet bishop h3 with bishop h1. Okay, I'll play rook fc1. Intensifying the threat of c takes b5 because the c7 is hanging. And if b takes c4, knight takes c4. Oh, so he's doing this. Okay, I'm going to take. And when he takes with the bishop, I think I'm going to go knight e4. Attacking the weak d6 pawn. Okay, he doesn't like that. Wonder if still knight e4. It's also moderately interesting for me to go f4, which looks really weakening because of knight g4 to e3 or knight c6 to d4, but trading off these dark squared bishops really... For instance, just f4, knight c6, bishop takes g7, king takes g7. After queen c3 and knight e4, I'm really hunkering down on those dark squares. So the line I'm looking at is f4, knight c6, bishop g7, king takes g7, queen c3. Let's just say king g8, knight e4. It's a pretty serious threat. He can go knight d4, and I have to deal with knight e2, which is also a fairly grave threat, but it's interesting. I can also go knight e4 first. Yeah, let's do that. I'll go knight e4, and maybe I'm threatening f4 here. So now if it was my turn, for instance, f4, knight c6, bishop takes g7, king takes g7, queen c3, he'd be forced to go f6 because king g8, knight f6 check. And f6 is not a move he really wants to play. d6 is weak, c5 is weak if he pushes d5. For instance, just d5, I think I can probably take this. Knight d6, knight d6, bishop c2, knight c8. If he retreats the bishop, I'll just go knight e7 check and takes. If he moves the queen, I just take on f5. If knight d6, bishop c2, knight takes c8, rook takes c8, rook takes c2. Is there anything there? This just looks pretty good for me. I'm kind of confused by bishop f5, actually. What am I missing? Oh, I'm gonna play it. As is customary, I somehow have 4 minutes, and my opponent has approximately his starting time. All things considered. Oh, I have a bishop hanging here. Maybe knight f3 check. Does that do anything? Yeah. So that's kind of irritating. Kind of have to take here. Yeah. I can save my knight, and then so this check is sort of forced, and then I'm gonna have to give up the exchange. I have to decide how I want to do that. Play rook takes c2, or I can just move a rook. I can play rook a to b1 and allow him to pick. What did I get myself into here? Guess I'm down. I'm just gonna be down in exchange for a pawn. This is so stinky. Yeah, I just missed that one little wrinkle there. Sort of terrible. What do I do about that? Nothing great. I'm just gonna take on c2. There isn't much difference. He can keep his dark squared bishop no matter what. And I think I'm just going to go h4. This is bad. This guy's certainly not allowed to stand on this square. We're going to go e3. He'll go bishop f6, presumably. I'll go knight d5. And I'm definitely worse. But I'm only down a minimal amount of material, and my position's relatively solid. If I didn't have 2.5 minutes, I would almost say that I have reasonable drawing chances. I'm going to regroup my pieces slightly. I'm going to put my bishop on c4. I think on this square, in combination with a4, it's going to make it extremely difficult for him to really make progress, because after bishop c4, I mean, this rook on a5 is really very badly placed, and he can't actually get it out. My knight and bishop are both powerful pieces, and yeah, he's up in exchange, but it's not all that easy for him to open lines, and even if he does, he's gonna just trade off all the pawns. So yeah, I mean, he can go g5, and eventually he can probably organize f4, but somehow I'm not super worried yet. Maybe I'll go here, and perhaps I can contemplate bringing the knight back, getting my rook in, and then putting the knight back on d5 or something. I played king g2 to allow my rook to the f-file, because it was clear that the only way he was going to make progress was h6 and g5. But, I mean, here I can almost contemplate f4. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. And I'll take with the g-pawn, and I'm just going to claim that maybe I shouldn't do this, but I'm just gonna claim that they're with his rook on a5 and with my powerfully centralized pieces that are kind of clogging up the open files, that I can't be much worse here. Okay, so he probably wisely does not take on f4 yet. If I play king f2, he's going to play rook h8. I want to protect the e-pawn so I can move my knight, is essentially what I'm thinking about here. Maybe I can even trade rooks. I mean, if he plays rook h8, he literally cannot get this rook out without quite a bit of effort, honestly. So he's gonna do that, close down the position. I don't think I care though. He can go king g6, and I'm just gonna move my rook back and claim that now he can't go rook h8. I'm just really... Oh, okay, so one plan he has is to go rook e4, take c4. I didn't think about that. And then take on a1. a4, I mean. So if he goes... Okay, so he's not doing that. Okay, I'm going to go king f2. I'm not actually sure what he does here. He's kind of just noodling around, as am I. Yeah, I mean, sure, play bishop g7, whatever. I'm going to offer him a draw. I don't think he actually has a way to win. And maybe he'll just want the small amount of rating points that he gets from drawing me. I cannot win a damn game. Lately, I'm just posting all of these horrible draws to my channel. This game's kind of funny. I mean, what the heck is this? It feels to me like G4 probably wasn't the greatest idea. Somehow I feel like if you're up in exchange, you need to open lines, but maybe with his poor rook on A5, he doesn't feel like he wants to do that. I'm just going to move her. I'm literally just going to shuffle around my pieces for... I don't see any reason why I should move any of these, and otherwise I don't see how he's making any progress, so... Hopefully I'm not missing any like tactic or something that wins for me based on this trapped rook or whatever. That would be kind of humiliating. I can go rook H8. Yeah, why not? If he plays bishop G7, I might just move it back even. I am really sorry if you guys watch this game. Okay, that just hangs a knight. Or a bishop, rather. What's his game here? He wants rook D2, but what after that? I don't understand. What am I missing here, people? He wants to flag me, or what? Yeah, I'm just going to take that thing. He can get his rook in. I'll probably play king E1. Actually, I might play king F1. I mean, he just hung a bishop, presumably. So now I have these two and a pawn versus... Yeah, I'll play king F1. And on rook C2, I'll just put my knight back, and he's gained nothing from hanging the bishop. Okay, he can take here, but he would be down a piece at that point. I do need to maybe put this rook somewhere more logical. Maybe rook G1 to G2. And when he checks me, I'll go to king F2. Actually, I don't really know what I'm doing. Okay. He can check me again. Put my king on H1. I don't want to lose the G3 pawn and give him any extra counterplay is all, so I'm trying to... Maybe I'll play rook D1 here and try and make progress. I mean, yeah, bishop C3 was a horrible blunder because, I mean, he still can't get this rook out. At some point, he almost has to play rook takes C4 if he... Okay, he doesn't want to do that. I need to get my rook in. I'm probably going to play rook D6 check if he plays rook C2, and then I'll put the knight back on D5. Yeah, he can go here, but then I'm going to trap his rook with king G2, and he actually won't be able to get this rook out of F3 either. I honestly pray he plays this just so I can play king G2 and make this extreme endgame study where I've somehow trapped both of his rooks on squares that are basically impossible to trap rooks on. That would be a real delight. Yes! What am I missing here? King G2 and he just can't move any of his pieces? Oh, this is hilarious. At some point I can just go... I guess I can't go rook F6 right away because he has rook takes E3, but... I feel like this F5 pawn is going to fall sooner or later. Actually, bishop E2 is a pretty serious threat, isn't it? Dude, man, this game is a real knee slapper. Just abysmal calculation by me, and then just these two jokesters. What is happening? You know, sometimes chess It's just not a fair game. And you know what's really hilarious? Now that my rook is on d6, he still can't get the rook out, even after I trade off my bishop. Okay. I'm just going to take this, and then I'm going to go back. He does... Oh, he can get out now. That's a shame. Rook c5. Dang it. Then he gets to go rook c2. So what do I actually do about that? Okay, I'll just leave his rook trapped. He can go back to c8, but that's it. This rook is still trapped. I just have to figure out a way to protect c2 so I can go bishop e2 again. So I can go knight b4, I guess. I only have 9 seconds, though, so I'm not, you know, trying to be too fancy here. Oh, knight b4 hangs e3. Okay, so I have some problems to solve here. I mean, I'm up a ton of material, so I don't have a ton of problems to solve, but I would like to just win this rook at some point. But I guess I can just go munch on all his pawns first and... Okay, that doesn't really do anything. If rook h3, rook g4 forks both rooks and protects g3 at the same time. And once I play rook takes g4, his rook on f3 is hanging also, so that's going to be unfortunate. Hey, you can save the f3 rook by going rook h1 and then check. Think about it. No. Okay. And I'll just take this one. Just for fun. And I'll trap his king. I'm not the greatest technician in the world, but I do think I can finish this game off. No stalemate. Tricks. Play bishop d5. And a8. No sir. Or ma'am. No, that was a stupid square. Alright, I guess I can just play this check and... No one resigns against Tony Rowe. Check for stalemate. No. Well, we're gonna take this one. As embarrassed as I am to, honestly, to win this game. That was rough. That game was rough around the edges, and I'm not going to be all that pleased to post this, but okay, you know, you have to take your wins how you can get them, and even if they're totally shameful. So let's take a look at this one. Yeah, this is a line I play a lot, and the two most important responses here are black playing c5 right away, so it's a c5 is very natural, just striking out at my center pawns with a flank pawn first of all, and also trying to wrench open this long diagonal for the bishop as soon as possible. And I think white can either go bishop b2 or c4 here. C4, knight c6, bishop d2 is a main line, and I think knight e4 is the best move here. Black in one go stops d5, opens up his dark squared bishop, starts to pressure this d4 pawn, works against this pin here, and guarantees that he can trade off one set of pieces, which will be pleasant for him. For that reason specifically, I like going bishop b2 first. Bishop b2 first does allow the independent line c takes d4, knight takes d4, and then d5, taking an extra bit of center before white goes c4. But I think white can actually go c4 anyway. And if black takes, I think there was a game with Levin Pansolaya as white that went knight a3, c takes b3, queen takes b3, and white has reasonable compensation for the pawn. So he's down a pawn, but white has a pretty big lead in development. His rooks will come to the open files extremely quickly, and then he'll be fully mobilized, and black has yet to really touch any of these pieces. And black's queen will run into a little bit of problems along the open files. In addition, white has two pretty strong bishops, a well-centralized knight, pressure against b7. Knight c4 will be, you know, a good square for that piece, and yeah, I think white's compensation is good. I think in my notes, I also have a takes b3 is leading to good compensation for white. In some of these positions, actually, knight c4 to b6 is a threat, exploiting this pin. Not, of course, when the queen is protecting b6, but possible idea. That's one line. It's also possible after this for black to go e5, and then after knight f3, e4, knight d4, he can take. And yeah, I think after maybe knight d2, I have this position in my notes as well. Something like this is white having good compensation as well. e4 is a little weak, and then similarly, white has a lead in development and open files to work with. The other plan besides c5 right away is to prepare e5 in some sequence. Usually, black tries to exploit the pin, so something like knight c6, like he played the game, bishop b2, d5 or e5 is actually possible. And black's idea, like I said, is d takes e5, knight g4. And of course, white can't win a pawn because of losing a rook. And in addition, black actually has the threat of going knight takes e5, and then on the next move, knight takes f3 check, exposing this pin again. So a lot of times, the Georg Meier way to play this position is c4, and after knight takes e5 to go queen d2. And after knight takes f3, check, the queen protects the bishop. I actually think it's interesting to take either way. So if white takes this way, of course, he's temporarily blocking the bishop, but he's getting an open e-file, and also the pawn will come to f4, after which black's knight and really other pieces are deprived of the e5 square, and the bishop is reopened up, and white's trying to claim that, yeah, his pawn structure is a little worse over here, but having the pawn on f4 and the open e-file is worth it. I think that's an interesting way to play, but bishop takes f3 is totally possible as well. And I find these positions to be generally somewhat pleasant for white. Bishop d7, yeah, probably here I should have just played c4 again, and either looked for knight c3 and e4, or d5, etc. And if e5, probably going into the same type of stuff as before. Queen d2 here, or just simply knight c3, knight takes, queen d2. And if knight takes, I can again contemplate e takes f3 with an interesting position. So yeah, white's rooks will either come to d1 and e1, or c1 and d1. The c5 break is possible, f4 will surely come. Sometimes I even play h3, g4, and f4. Knight d5 is a lot of times very strong. One thing about this position is that knight d5, a lot of times white is very happy to trade off these bishops, because after knight d5, bishop takes b2, queen takes b2. The f6 square and black's king in general is just a little bit weak along the long diagonal, and specifically on the f6 square with this bishop traded, so knight d5 frequently factors into white's plans. And this position is a good example of the Axel Smith mantra that no pawn break equals no plan. It's not that easy for black to... Black doesn't really have any pawn levers, so f5, f4 will just simply be met by f4, and then black has just locked up the king side, and it's not easy for black to organize a break on the queen side either. It's possible to go a5, a6, and b5, but that might just weaken black along the c-file and also open up this long diagonal for white's bishop. And without a pawn break, it's not that easy for black to formulate a plan. And a lot of times in these styles of positions, white can arrange c5 sort of at will, or seek to change the pawn structure with knight d5 and taking on d5 with the pawn, and then trying to work against his backward c-pawn. It's easier for white to play, I think. He has the plan of gaining space on both flanks, and again, it's not that easy for black to find a plan because he doesn't have a pawn break. A lot of times, by the way, shout out to John Bartholomew. If you haven't watched Chess Fundamentals number 4 yet on pawn play, you should for sure do that. But one thing he talked about a lot of times is the pawn structure sort of determines the plan, and the pawn break a lot of times is like your primary plan in positions. And if you don't have one, and if you don't have a pawn structure that is amenable to providing you a pawn break, it's hard to find a plan. So these positions a lot of times, at least for me in practice, have been very one-sided. I have ways to improve my positions, even if it's objectively not that much. It's easier for me to improve, so probably I should go, yeah, c4 in this case, and Yeah, black can go knight e4, black can go e5, d takes, knight g4, but even here, something similar like knight c3. I think I just covered this, didn't I? Yeah. This would be more pleasant for white. It's also possible for black to revert to the Pano plan of going a6, b5 with rook b8 at some point, and try to induce some kind of a weakness on c4, which he can attack with moves like knight a5. I wonder if here I can just play e4, though, like if rook b8. Probably just organizing e5 is good, like e4, and if b5, probably just e5, and just trying to smack him upside the head as soon as possible. Normally, black won't be that happy if this pawn gets to e5 and he doesn't get all that much for it. Like, I just want to kind of go queen e2, and at some point I'm just going to kick the knight away, possibly even go g4, and just claim that black just has much less space. But it's also, yeah, it's also possible to go d5, and knight a5, I'm just going to show this, the computer kind of spoiled it for me, can trap the knight. So yeah, maybe this is actually the better plan, because if his knight has to go to a7, that's not a particularly great square. And then I can just go for the e5 plan. So yeah, e4, b5, e5, and white should be much better. So maybe either bishop d7 is not particularly accurate for black, or just the a6 rook b8 plan is a little too slow. So yeah, c4 probably here the next time. Yeah. And e5, yeah, this is just better now, because after, for instance, say in the analogous lines, this and then c4, knight takes, I can just protect the bishop again against the threat of okay, let's just say I go queen c1 so he can't gain a tempo with bishop f5. Yeah, the problem is in this structure you really want the knight on c3 because the d5 square is just incredibly strong. So putting the knight on d2 makes me look kind of dumb. Yeah, and b5 is probably a good move, even though it's a little bit weakening, because I have nothing better than going back and I've just lost a tempo. So yeah, my opening play in this game is just not all that promising. Yeah, a4 was another move I thought about here. But what if after a6, takes perhaps? Still, it doesn't look like much. I guess if b4, then I'm just happy to have this square for my knight now. So yeah, maybe knight c4, and I don't really feel much better here at all. Yeah, this isn't much. But maybe I can try to prove that black structure is a little loose. Yeah, I was about to say queen d5, and then I'm just going to go rook fd1, and maybe white is very, very slightly better, but it's not much. My opening play in this game was not great. Just this one inaccuracy, 8 knight b to d2, gave black much more than they deserved. And yeah, after this, yeah, I looked at f4. Dang. I looked at f4 on a move later, so here I didn't consider it though, but it does look good. Same idea as before, I just didn't think of f4 in time, so yeah, queen c2. And again, I thought bishop f5, I can just meet with e4, and then almost f4 comes quite a bit stronger. Yeah, I looked at this and I just thought white should be better with the massive space advantage and no real counterplay for black. My rooks, again, just come to the central files, and black needs to be able to claim something, you know, some counterplay against these pawns or some activity if he doesn't want to just be worse, and I don't think he has that, so. Yeah, f4 here, and if knight g4, presumably I'm taking, and the whole idea in playing this is to meet knight e3 with queen c3 check. So black can't go knight e3 yet, and in the meantime, I'm looking to try and capitalize on some of these weak squares in the long diagonal with queen c3 and knight e4. So the computer wants to take first. What if I just check? Yeah, always f6, but at least in this case I can go h3, no? Try to claim that this knight is stupid. Yeah, this looks more comfortable for white. I like this position. Again, knight e4 is coming. Maybe I can organize c5 if black doesn't take it. Again, c7 is kind of weak in a lot of cases. Rook f to c1 doesn't seem terrible, though. Again, I was planning on meeting bishop h3 with bishop h1. c5 looks bad, though. c5 is not a move black generally wants to play. The problem is d6 now is just really weak. And, you know, you can never take this move back, and this pawn will always be backward along an open file now. But I sort of screwed it up somehow. I felt like this position was just much better for me. But knight takes d6, and perhaps this is just inaccurate because of bishop f5. I thought knight takes d6 won material based on just the variation. Takes, takes, takes. And then either rook takes rook c2, and I'm just up a pawn, this pawn, of course, or bishop f5 is the only square that saves the bishop, and then check and takes, and I'm just clearly winning. I didn't see knight f3, which is dumb. After this is just quite a bit less clear. I went in for this, but oh yeah, I missed knight a7. That would be quite a bit better. I just decided to save the knight. Oh, that was stupid. Come on, Tony. This is just embarrassing. Just hanging pawn, capture in one move, come out via c6, and yeah, that would have been nice. After this move, I'm probably a little bit worse, I'm guessing. I didn't feel very comfortable here, that's for sure. Yeah. h4 is just kind of a miniature improving move. It's not much. Maybe at some point I can go h5, or I'm also looking forward to cementing my knight into f4 when it's a little bit hard for him to get booted out. And in general, when you're, this is kind of abstract, but when you're hoping to draw the f2 g3 h4 structure tends to be a little bit beneficial. It leaves your only pawn weakness. It leaves the base of your pawn chain easily defendable by, you know, usually more than one piece. In this case, probably after e3, the rook and the king will protect it. And also, it guarantees that if black wants to try and make progress by pushing pawns on this wing, that usually he'll have to trade off a set of pawns, you know, via g5, h takes g5. And usually when you're defending and you want the draw, it's beneficial to trade a set of pawns. So in a lot of cases, you'll see defenders setting up this structure in a lot of endings and so forth. Yeah, bishop d4 I don't think is very good. I mean, I'm very happy to play e3. It's a useful move in just allowing my bishop to switch over to this diagonal, controlling the d4 square, and he gives it to me for free, and then, yeah, saves the bishop. But here, yeah, here already maybe black has already screwed up, because it's very easy for me to go bishop e2 to c4 and set up a4, and then really I have no weaknesses. He has no good way to use the open files, etc. And probably after bishop e2, rook a5 is a pretty serious error, because after a4 he can no longer get the rook out. And yeah, here the computer already likes white a little bit, and I don't know if I would go that far. I don't think white is really better, or at least noticeably better, but also, yeah, it's just, I don't think either player is going to have a very easy time making progress here. Yeah, knight f4, knight e6, that was definitely worth considering, but I had very little time, and I was just looking to set up sort of this fortress and see how black was going to try and make progress. King g2, again, I'm getting ready to go rook c1, and I want the h-file open after h6, g5, and so forth. Yeah, it's funny the computers think this is better for white. I mean, I guess this rook is a very serious issue, but I was just very happy to be able to draw this game. Yeah, a lot of just maneuvering, moving our pieces around without really doing anything. Interesting. So this pin, huh? That's something. And if king g7, what's the point? I'm a little confused. So here, 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 here. What happens? Oh, he loses the f5 pawn. I didn't see that. And if he doesn't do that, so if he does not allow rook h5 to g5, which is pretty adorable. Yeah, if he just goes, let's say he goes rook b8, intending to go bishop d6. check. Oh, I get into g5 anyway, presumably. And then all those pawns are falling. That is slick. I did not see that maneuver. That's pretty adorable. Rook h8 to g8 to g5. Well played, Stockfish. Dang, that's nice. Yeah, I didn't see that. Again, more completely mindless shuffling, and then I actually get in, but I sort of bail on it. So I wonder if again I could have made more progress here than I did. Rook e8. What's the idea? To go e4 maybe? What if king f7? Well, king f7 is probably not good because of this. What if just here? Okay, so yeah, just again getting at this f pawn and he can't save it. Very tricky. Yeah, not going to see that with very little time. This move is just a total just a one move blunder, and I just, yeah. After this, the game is pretty much over. I'm up a bishop knight in this pawn for a rook, and again, his one rook is still completely paralyzed on a5. Very unfortunate, and all it takes is really a little bit of unwinding, I think. And well, I didn't see mate in 6. If this check, king g7. Wow, really? Knight f5, king f6. Ooh, that's cute. Yeah, and then mate. Wow. After this, it's just not easy to see how black stops me from getting there. Yeah, and as I said in the game, at some point, because this rook is so bad, black is essentially playing a rook down right now. At some point, he actually probably has to sack on c4, even though it's another exchange, just because it's better to be down another exchange than a full rook, which is just so sad. Yeah, but this is just, I mean, white's just up a piece for nothing. So as long as I don't totally bungle it against this a-pawn, I'm just totally winning. But as is, yeah, I mean, I get the rook into d6, so I pull the little reorganization here. The knight and rook switcheroo. Get the knight back in, and yeah, this is just totally lost. And then, yeah, this is kind of hilarious. This thing gets stuck again. And now black can't move either rook, which is unbelievably unfortunate. c4 was clever, though, because now after rook c5, bishop e2, now I'm losing a bishop, so have to find something else. But yeah, unfortunately for black, all of his pawns fall without me having to move any of my pieces, so it doesn't do much here for him to play cute tactics. Yeah, and black is one move short. After this, maybe he could be annoying, but rook g4 protects against g3 and actually forks both rooks. Yeah, and after this, it's just totally lost. Totally ridiculous game. Interesting one. Yeah, geez. I guess that's all I have to say about that. Sorry for the total mess this was. I am working on the second part of the practical endgame study. Hopefully I can get that out tomorrow. It will most likely be late tomorrow, as is usually the case with me. And again, the Reddit opening of the week thing, that's still in the queue. I'm slowly building up the analysis on that one. And thanks, guys. Hope you like it. Maybe I'll be back with a second classical game. I'm kind of feeling a second game. I'm a little bit fired up after that game. I want to prove that I can actually play chess at a fairly competent level. So there might be a second one posted. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. See you later. Bye.